I'm out looking for California turret spiders. They're pretty cool. They form burrows in the ground with little protrusions of silk. I'll show you what I mean when I find one. So this right here is actually a burrow made by the spider Atypoides reversi, or the California turret spider, right there. And I'm going to attempt to dig it up. Here's my progress. As you can see, the burrow is right here. It's blocked by a root. Get that out of the way. And it goes a bit further back. I may have dug 8 centimeters down thus far. And oftentimes they'll go a lot deeper than that. So we'll see how long this one is. And there's the spider right there, kind of tucked in the back of its hole. When I dig up spiders like this, it's always important to have holes that surround the burrow kind of plugged up, like this one. You know, just push dirt in there, because once I poke the spider out, I don't want it to be crawling into any crevices that I can't really track to the end and retrieve the spider. And that has happened to me before, where spiders have escaped down holes that belong to some other kind of animal. So I think I'm good here, and now I'm going to attempt to poke this guy out. Alright, and despite the fact that I have tongs and whatnot, forceps, to be able to poke things, I'm not going to do that here. I'm going to use some kind of twig, because the abdomens of megalomorphs are especially fragile, and I don't want to harm it in any way. So and looks like I may need to dig a bit below it, so I'm just going to take some of the dirt out from below it, expose a little more of the spider, and then try again. I find out the twig. Here we go. And sometimes if you get them to bite down on your stick, they'll come out like that. So there we go. There's the spider right there. Poke it. When you take them out of their burrows like that, sometimes they just kind of freeze up. But I assure you he's quite live and well. Yeah. Right here. This isn't an amazing example of one of the burrows. Oftentimes they elevate from the ground quite a bit more than this one is here, and a lot more symmetrical. But nonetheless, I'm going to dig this one up. I don't know if you can see this very clearly, but the burrow is actually right here. Here, let me collapse a bit. Well, okay, you can't see it very well, but that's the burrow. This entrance right here. Gotta get this rock out too if I want to take the spider out safely. Last thing I want to do is push the rock in some unusual way that will force itself into the burrow and crush the spider. That would be unfortunate. Pulling the rock straight out without any inconsistencies should leave the spider in no danger. And we're getting pretty near here. Ah, I got skunked. This is actually a vacant burrow. So, yeah, sometimes, I mean, they're not always occupied. I'd say like a third of them won't have any spiders at the end. And instead what you find is something like an old molt that the spider had or something like that. And there are various reasons why they may abandon their burrow. Found a turret here. This one is maybe about half as large as they get as far as diameter goes. And right over here is another one. Same deal with that one. Another one here, another one here, and another one here. This is a slope that faces a completely different direction than the other two I was on, so I'm a bit more hopeful here. I'm currently digging up this hole right here. And oftentimes on these rock walls, you can see this exposed rock here, and it's mostly a rock wall with some amount of silt. The burrows don't go nearly as deep down because there's so many rocks in the way, so we'll see. This is the spider from the hole I just dug up, the one I showed you. That was on the wall. It's pretty small. Let's see if I can find an adult. Found another turret spider burrow right here. It doesn't look too promising. There are other ones, like smaller ones. This is like pretty small. Another one here next to it. But it doesn't look very active. Like the webbing hasn't been, laid down for a while, which oftentimes indicates that the burrow is vacant. We'll see. This is kind of interesting. This has only happened to me once before. I was using this mattock right here, and it has these prongs. And I was digging in the soil, and it kind of got caught in these roots right here. And when I pulled the roots out to free my mattock, the spider kind of just plopped out. And that's the same spider from the turret I showed you here. I still have it. That's the turret from when I showed you earlier, and that's the spider that came out of it. The spider is becoming a bit more active. I apologize for the sand that's stuck to its cephalothorax, or head, if you want. But I'm not going to attempt to remove it for this shot, just because I don't want to get bitten, and I don't want to damage the spider. I'll remove it later with a thin paintbrush. It's probably the best thing to do. Yeah. Very nice spider. You can see it's chelicerae down there if you look. Not an amazing shot, but you can see it. Or them. Well, I'm back home, so here's a closer shot of the spider. These spiders are pretty skittish once they're no longer in their homes. And sometimes they can be quite aggressive, but it really depends on the individual and the circumstances. From all the specimens I have ever seen of this species, this is practically a maximum size adult. I'd be very surprised to see one any larger than this. There you go. You can see the venom drop right there. Well, this is pretty much it for the video. So, Until next time.